This is a recording for the CUPHAT project. My name is Matthew O'Brien. Today is the 30th of August 2023 and I have here with me Taragh Nolan. Thank you very much, Taragh. Can you just confirm for the recorder that you're happy to take part in the project?
Yes, I'm happy, yeah.
Brilliant. And could you just spell your name for the recorder, please?
It's Taragh and Nolan is Nolan.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Taragh, I wonder if you could just tell me a little bit about your early life. When and where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay, I was born in Wexford Hospital and grew up in Enniscorthy town. Initially in a place called Des Moines in the town, and then we moved to Scarwelch, and then when I was 12 we moved to Clonhaston, which is the other side of the river of the town, and I was there then until I went to college.
Very good. And do you have any kind of memories from your childhood that you could share?
Oh sure, loads of different memories. I grew up in a family of the only girl and three brothers, so loads of memories of in my eyes being bullied by them, but yeah, loads of memories. Just well, my parents were in business in the town, so a lot of my memories are to do with work, really working. We had to work from when we were able to help out, and because they were so busy, self-employed, and so we were all working, but we were busy. It was a busy household, and we did lots of activities. My parents thankfully put us into lots of different activities, so we were kept very busy between school and sports and music and all that.
And what kind of business was it that you
It was bookshops. Had books and toys and stationery, that type of thing. Yeah.
And you mentioned sports there. Did you play sports in school?
Yeah, I played sport in school, and I played a lot of tennis in Enniscorthy in a tennis club, and I did things like ballet, a bit of gymnastics, swimming, all those kind of bits and pieces for a while.
And was that an important part of your childhood?
It was, yeah, it was. It would have been. Would have spent a lot of time doing all those things, and then I did music lessons as well, and that's where I ended up doing music in college, so that was kind of what I spent a lot of time at, and we were all busy with sports and music, really. Yeah.
And where did you go to college?
I went to UCC first. I did music and Irish in UCC, and then I went to St. Pat's and did the postgraduate diploma in primary teaching then after that.
Very good. And aside from, say, maybe sports in school, what did you kind of do to socialise in Enniscorthy when you were growing up?
Well, one of the big things in Enniscorthy, I suppose, when I was growing up, was the strawberry fair. Now still is a form of it, but it's not the same as it used to be. It used to be a week long, at least a week, I think, festival in Enniscorthy, where there was obviously lots of strawberry stalls, but there was music, and the big thing for us as children and teenagers were the amusements, the whole prom. I don't know if you know Enniscorthy, but the whole prom from the new bridge all the way down to the riverside was full of amusements and stalls selling little knick-knacky things, and the dodgems and the big wheel and all of that, and that would have been a big thing in our summer, I suppose, to meet friends there and go to that, and it was good crack. And then aside from that, I suppose when I was a bit older, socialising would have been in the Castle nightclub in Enniscorthy, which is no longer open, but that was where in teenage years we used to meet friends and socialise. That was the big place to be at the time.
And although you're not living there now, do you think that maybe facilities and services in Enniscorthy have changed over?
Yeah, well, I live in Davidstown, which is just this side of Enniscorthy. So I would say so. Like the town went through, like, businesses in the town at times would have struggled. A lot of businesses closed down, and we have still a good number of closed premises, which isn't wonderful. One of the famous places in Enniscorthy, Murphy Flood's Hotel, which burnt down, I don't know what year it was, but a long time ago now, and it was never rebuilt or regenerated. The area, it's still kind of there, but boarded up, and that's a pity, because that would have held a lot of memories for us as well, because 21st and those kind of parties were all held there. But Yeah, I would say at times it struggles. Like I still love Enniscorthy, but I would say at times we struggle a little bit with business, and even socializing. Restaurants are limited, and that kind of thing. It would be great to have a bigger option, or but
And what was social and community life like there growing up? Would you say there was a strong community spirit?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. I'd say there still is a good bit now. More, I suppose, out in the townslands around the town, maybe, right. But then there is a good enterprise board, or whatever you would call it, there, and there is a good committee that do the food festival, which I suppose is taken over from the strawberry fair. So there are a lot of very good people who are trying to do their best for the town, and I suppose all of us, we could all maybe support it all a little bit more, but yeah, it's still a nice town. Yeah.
And in your experience, did people from the area stay there, or did they go off like you did to college or for work, or do you think there was
I'd say a lot of people left for college and work. Yeah, I would say a lot. And like a good few people from, let's say, from my year in school, I'd say moved abroad, but there is still a good cohort of people who did come back or did stay, yeah, so I'd say a mixture of both, I'd say.
And so when you finished your degree and your postgraduate degree as well, where did you kind of end up?
Well, I was home. So I got a job working in the school in Bree, which is a village outside Enniscorthy, and I worked there for 4 years, and then I went back to work in the family business. So we had a number of shops at that time, and I worked there for 4 years, and then I went back into teaching then after that. So I ended up working in Rathnure, in the school in Rathnure, for 12 years, and was principal there for nine years of that. So that was a big part of my life. But then, and now I've moved here. So.
And did you live in Rathnure when you
No,
went
I
there?
lived in Davidstown. I've lived in Davidstown now for 20 odd years. So it's quite close though. It's not, it's about 15 minutes, I suppose, drive.
Yeah, you had a good experience working
Brilliant.
in Rathnure.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's a great place.
You mentioned earlier on about the Strawberry Festival, the Food Festival. I wonder, are there any other kind of festivals or events or celebrations that kind of used to happen that maybe are still happening, or there's a version of them still happening?
There's a Blackstairs Blues Festival that's still going, I think. Now I wouldn't have attended many things and that, just at the age I was at and that. Other festivals, I don't think so, that I can think of now. The Strawberry Fair was the big one, and I went on for a week if not more, but no, I don't think so.
And were there any interesting stories maybe when you were growing up, maybe, I don't know, folklore or local histories that used to be kind of told by people or anything like that?
There was a lot of talk of the banshee when I was growing up. I don't know if that's what you mean, but there would have been a lot of talk of the banshee, and different kind of stories about that, scary stories. And there would have been like a time of period where everyone would tell ghost stories. I don't know about the folklore. I'm not sure now about Enniscorthy. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I know in Rathnure when I was there, we would have done a couple of history projects with the kids, and they would have gone to their relations to find out stories, and it would have been stories of fairy forts and fields and things like that, and they would have had a lot, from, I suppose, from the mountain or that area. They definitely would have had a lot. I'm not so sure about Enniscorthy town now. There is the castle there, which has a lot of history attached to it, and Eileen Gray, the furniture designer, would have been from Enniscorthy as well. So that would be a big thing, and they're in the museum now.
And within maybe the Blackstairs Mountains, do you think that there are important aspects of the kind of local natural heritage, or things like the landscape or biodiversity? Do you think that there's one particular element of that really needs to be looked after and maintained?
Well, I'd say the mountain itself. Like, I know that there are a lot of people working on it, and they have the water scheme there now, which is a big help to the area as well. But I suppose protecting it, and I know there's sometimes dumping happens up there, and I know there's sometimes people have issue with people on quad bikes around the mountains and that sort of thing. So I suppose protecting the environment of it as well. But I know that in Rathnure there's a group there, and they bring once a year or twice a year, they go to the go to a certain point in the mountain to play music, have a kind of a special day for, for celebrating it, and they have music and food and all that. So they do a lot. But what I'd be worried about is there are people there who have enormous knowledge about the history of the place and stories, and I'd be worried about it getting lost. That it would be great to record what they have, all their information that they have. So but I think the environment of it is key, because it is so beautiful, and it's such a resource for people for walking and for
And on that note, would you ever go walking in the Blackstairs Mountains?
Yeah, I have done. Yeah. I have done.
And what would your kind of favourite trail or site be?
Well, we went. We it's nice to go up to the White Mountain, it's called, and it's a nice walk. It's not too challenging, but a little bit. And then it's nice to get up to the top and see everything. It's lovely. And then a lot of people go up to Mount Leinster. There's a good walk track up to the top of Mount Leinster, which is great. Yeah. And
would you have gone up there as a child, or
no?
Kind of later
No, I never would have. No, just when I was working there, really. Never would have gone up there as a child. We would have been just out the fields, the back of the house. Yeah.
And so you mentioned that you've gone walking in, I suppose, the Blackstairs. I wonder if you noticed anything in particular about the kind of nature, or whether the nature has changed over time there, or again, if there are any kind of threats to nature or biodiversity within the kind of upland region.
Well, I suppose the last time I went on it, what I noticed was a big couch dumped at one point, and I suppose that's a very obvious kind of form of dumping that you just it's upsetting to see that kind of thing, because I don't know, it's just I don't understand why people would do that. But well, I suppose there's forestry going on, but then there's replanting and all that, so I suppose that's all a kind of a circle of life. So I'm sure that's all managed very well, by the people doing it. But no, I think it's a great, it's a beautiful place.
And on the White Mountain, or kind of other views, what do you think, like, you would see? What do you see at the top of these mountains, or higher up in these mountains?
Well, sure, you can see all the other peaks of the mountains, and you can see nearly, I think, over to Carlow at one point of it, and I know that you can walk, because my parents do a lot of walking, and I know that you can do all the mountains. You can go from one peak to the other, and I haven't done that now yet, but there's the views are beautiful, spectacular. Yeah, but even from the ground, like when I was working in Rathnure, I was taking off a lot of pictures from the back, from the yard, from the field at the back of the school, with the mountain in the background of the school. It's beautiful. Yeah.
And growing up, would you or your family have had an interest in local history or culture or people or places?
Yeah, well, my parents would have a big interest in my uncle Kevin Whelan is obviously hugely interested in history, and so his interest, I suppose, or information would have passed on to them and to us, and we would have had a lot of books about local history. And then when we moved to our last house, it was a very old house, so we had books on the houses of County Wexford, and it was in it, and things like that. So yeah, we would have had.
And are you familiar with any kind of ancient sites, or kind of old historical landmarks within the Blackstairs or indeed in Scorthy?
Well, Vinegar Hill in Enniscorthy would be probably the biggest one there, and it's nice. It's nice to walk up to it as well. We would have gone up and down that a lot as well, and that's actually very close to where my parents live now. So that's very historical from 1798 times, and the songs that go with that and Father Murphy and all that would link in with all that story. And then obviously the castle, and in terms of the Blackstairs, I know that there was a plane. Now I'm going to get this wrong now because I haven't got it prepared, but it must have been World War II, I think. That is a plane shot down over there, came down. So you can go to that site and see there's a little plaque, and all that. But and then Kelly the boy from Killaan, obviously from Killaan over from Atnure, and there's a lot of history there as well. There's a lovely statue to him, and an area there which remembers him. And and then in Rathnure, like, there's the old school, which is nice. The building of the old school is just up the road from the existing school, and we would have brought the children up there to visit it, to tell them all about it. But we had pictures put up in the school of the move down from it then, which was an historical event as well, in 1951, I think it was. And it's nice to see those, the contrast between the two. So there's a good bit of history, I suppose. I'm probably forgetting lots of things now, but
could you tell me a little bit more about Vinegar Hill?
Well, sure, it was one of the sites of the battles from 1798, and there's a little tower on it. Now it's damaged, obviously, but it's a landmark in Enniscorthy, and you can see it because Enniscorthy is quite hilly, and you can, if you're down the main part of the town, you can see it as view, and it's very nice. And they have there is some there is a that's not a statue, but a plaque with all different the names of people who passed away during those battles is on it. And we had lots of very famous people come to visit it over the years, and when it was the reenactment of it and all that sort of thing, we had different people came and different events up at the car park of it, which was good. And it is, when you think about it, a historic place. You forget when you're just there beside it, but I suppose thinking about what happened there and over the years, it's it's good to remember.
And even when you were younger or in more kind of recent years, would you have a favourite kind of either historical or heritage site within the kind of broader area? Or is there one that has any significance to you?
Not that I can think of now, off the top of my head. Sorry.
Okay. You mentioned as well music.
Yeah.
And also your connection to music. Did that ever kind of overlap with? I know you mentioned Kelly the boy from Killaan and the Luke Kelly song, but I wonder, is there any other kind of connection to the area and your interest and influence in music?
Well, other than like I don't know if it's relevant, but I used to play and sing in the folk group in Enniscorthy when I was younger, when I was a teenager, for a good number of years. So that was a big thing. We used to play at mass at the weekends, and then we used to do other little bits and pieces, and go away for a weekend, things like that. And that was great. It was good to be part of the community there. And other than that, like there'll be a lot of places around Enniscorthy. There'll be a lot of pubs and that would have storytelling and sing songs and all that, all that sort of stuff. Different nights and trad sessions and that in around Enniscorthy and in the villages around. So, but the folk group, I suppose, was a big thing for me to play in.
Go ahead.
Well, I played in the orchestra, Wexford Symphony Orchestra, as well for a good number of years, and it was slightly different thing, but that was good experience too.
I was going to say, do you have any kind kind of memories of maybe like, I don't know, the trad scene in Wexford?
Well, when the Flak Yole came, I don't know what year it was, and I think it's coming back now soon as well. That was a great weekend to have that going on. It's great, brought a great buzz to Enniscorthy. You know, there was a good crowd of people in it and music everywhere, all over the streets and in the pubs, and that was fantastic. So I think that'll be a big thing to have back in the town.
And what does it mean to you to be from a near, living near kind of an upland area?
Well, I think it's, the scenery is beautiful and it's peaceful, and it's like we're never short of places to go walking, hiking. You know, it's fantastic that way, and I think it just brings a character to a place, and I think we're very lucky to live where we do.
And how would you describe your home place to somebody who's never been there before?
Enniscorthy. I suppose I'd say it's a small town built on a river, hilly, with what else could I say? Lots of pubs and hairdressers, and it's nice. There's a nice feel about the town. There definitely is, and there's nice people there, and it's a good place to come for tourism because you're kind of close to a lot of things. You're close to Wexford, Rosslare. You're not too far from Dublin. It's a good area to come, and you're close to all the beaches for tourism as well. Like, you're half an hour away from a beach, and there's plenty of different things to do, and it's becoming more things to do on a tourist scene, I suppose. Music and the arts is another thing. The drama festival in Enniscorthy would be big in Wexford, and that would have been something we would have gone to when I was younger too, but that's still a big thing, and they're not so much in Enniscorthy anymore. The musicals used to be musicals put on. That hasn't happened in a few years, but in Wexford there'd be different musical societies, so there'll be a lot going on that way.
And you mentioned tourism there.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe the general kind of state of tourism in, let's say, the Blackstairs Mountains, or indeed the communities in the broader area of the Blackstairs?
Yeah, well, I'd say tourism isn't. I'd say most people will go to the towns, Wexford town, Gorey, I would imagine, and Rosslare go to the beaches. I don't know how many people. I suppose people who are into hiking and walking would definitely be interested in the Blackstairs and that, but I don't know general tourism. I don't know how many people will go out to the different villages and smaller areas. I'm not sure how much that would be.
And let's just say there was an increase in tourism to areas like Rathnure and all these other kind of areas around the Blackstairs. What challenges do you think that might bring to those communities?
Well, I suppose accommodation would be one, because that there wouldn't be a huge amount of that. If people wanted to stay in those areas, that would probably pose a challenge. And I suppose things would have to change in terms of services for those tourists to have. Like in Rathnure, there's one shop, kind of a shop that opens the odd time, but there's not a coffee. There's no place to get a cup of coffee or anything like that. There's no petrol station or anything like that. So I suppose things like facilities and services would have to improve, I suppose.
And I suppose the flip side of that then, what benefits do you think tourism might bring to areas like Rathnure?
Which I suppose it would bring employment, and it would bring, it'd be a mixture between good things and bad things. I suppose that it would bring attention to the place and let it be more wide known, the different walks or different things you can do there. But also I suppose in terms of all these extra people coming in, that might pose a risk to the environment there. So I think it'd have to be carefully planned.
And if you had a group of tourists and you were bringing them to, let's just say, the Blackstairs, what would you want them to see? What would be the thing you would showcase to them?
Well, I suppose Mount Leinster would be the big one, and then the White Mountain would be lovely to bring them to as well. they'd be the main ones, I suppose, that you'd love to bring them up on, because they'd see such a view then, you know.
And how do you think, in a general sense, tourists are kind of perceived by, locals?
I'd say in a pretty good light. Like, I'd say there'd be a good number of tourists in Enniscorthy, because we have the Riverside Hotel there that takes a lot of people. But I'd say, generally speaking, I'd say in a positive light. I think so. Now again, even in Enniscorthy, I think facilities would need to improve for those people coming. Toilets and all that sort of those sort of services. But I think people would see it in a positive light, that it brings business to the town and activity, and I think it'd be good.
And what role do you think that upland communities could play in developing tourism in any of these kind of areas we've been talking about?
I suppose to promote the environment that they're in, and promote what the possibilities are for people, and to promote the importance of protecting the environment, and how you would do that as a tourist. I suppose that kind of information would be great. And even, like what I was saying to you earlier on about people who have the history, people who can tell them the stories, like that would be great, because it's so interesting and people want to know more about the local areas when they're there as tourists.
And what's the best thing about living in an upland or an upland adjacent area?
Well, I suppose it's peaceful. There's tranquility there, but there's also and there's fresh air, and the beauty that you can see. I suppose they're the things that are the best.
And if you could change one thing about the area, what would that be?
Change one thing. I don't think it would change. Bar maybe having a coffee shop there. That'd be good.
And then what challenges do you think that communities in the Blackstairs Mountains and in the kind of surrounding area will face in the future?
I suppose to try and protect what they have, and to try and educate people in the importance of protecting the environment that they live in. I suppose that's a challenge, because not everybody puts the same value on it. So I suppose educating people in terms of that, and what else then? I suppose in rural areas there's always that concern that people become isolated, or you have that risk because you are a little bit away from towns and transport, and all that story about the local rural pubs and all that social scene that can be difficult for some people. So I suppose making sure that people don't become isolated in those areas, and that everyone is working together to ensure that that community thrives, no matter what, depending on whatever they need to do that.
And just in closing then, what does it mean to you to be from this area?
Well, I'm proud to be from Enniscorthy and to be from Wexford, and I love where I live. It's changed a lot over the years, obviously, but still like where I live now. I'm a little bit out of the town, so we kind of get the best of both worlds. We're in the countryside, quiet area, but we're only a few minutes from the town, so that's really, I really like that aspect. And I just like like I said, that it's peaceful, and that it's safe to go for a walk, and you're not, you can do that, and it's we've a lovely area that we live in, even just visually to look at it, and it's great.
And is there anything else that you'd like to add to the record that we haven't previously discussed?
No, I don't think so. Happy enough.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Taragh.
No problem.
I'm going to stop the recorder now.